Number 8. A fractured skull. In February 2021, a heavy load from a forklift fell on Liam Hamilton, a 20-year-old apprentice electrician from Hertfordshire. The forklift truck was situated several stories high, and during the accident, it struck Liam despite him wearing a safety helmet. The impact caused Liam to suffer a fractured skull, and he was immediately rushed to the hospital for emergency brain surgery. To aid his recovery, he was placed in an induced coma for 4 days. The consequences of the accident have been devastating for Liam. In December 2022, he had a seizure, and he now faces ongoing cognitive, strength, and balance issues. He fears for the future of his career as an electrician. Before the incident, Liam enjoyed a typical life for someone his age, engaging in activities with friends and pursuing hobbies like football, boxing, and golf. Investigations into the incident reveal that Western Homes, the property developer responsible for the site where the accident occurred, was in breach of several health and safety regulations. They had not established an exclusion zone to prevent people from being in areas with falling material risks. What's more, they failed to conduct proper safety assessments and provide appropriate machinery for lifting materials at height. Liam's symptoms, which include memory and concentration issues, made him more dependent on his parents for support. He found it challenging to come to terms with what happened. Despite these hardships, he remains determined to focus on his recovery, but he feels that he deserves answers about the circumstances that led to the accident and the potential measures that could have prevented his injuries. An ongoing investigation by the Health and Safety Executive aims to find out what truly happened, but as of now, no updates have been disclosed. Number 7. The man who stabbed himself. In February 2021, a Boston barber, Steve Silver, recounted a fortunate survival after a huge accident that occurred at the Boston Barber Company in Beacon Hill. When working on a customer's hair, Silver accidentally slipped and fell, causing his 6.5-inch professional-grade shears, which were wrapped around his finger, to puncture his chest cavity. Immediately, blood started gushing out, and Silver realized he had accidentally stabbed himself. His quick-thinking co-workers, Nikki and Sarah, along with the customer, acted promptly by applying pressure to the wound and helping him lie on his side. Despite the shock of the incident, Silver remained calm, not wanting to alarm those around him. He explained that he slipped on a wet spot on the floor while stepping off a pad near the customer. The shears stayed secured around his finger, preventing them from flying off during the fall. Despite wearing a mask at the time, Silver clarified that it did not hinder his vision or contribute to the accident. Luckily, the shears narrowly missed his heart, and he underwent open-heart surgery less than an hour after the accident. Doctors used staples to close up the several-inch-long wound, and he was laid up for several weeks during his recovery. He even reached out to the customer whose hair he was cutting to ensure the session was completed, despite the unexpected interruption. As an experienced barber who had been working at the shop for 4 years, Silver was eager to get back to work, but he understood it would take some time. But the accident disrupted his plans for a getaway with his girlfriend, Dawn DeRosa, to celebrate her birthday and Valentine's Day. Hundreds of people donated to an online fundraiser to help with his medical expenses. More than $19,000 was raised. It was a close call, but Silver made it out of recovery perfectly fine. Number 6. An almost crushed head. In July 2020, Shannon Brazier, a 22-year-old woman from Dagenham, East London, recounted her experience when she was almost crushed to death by a 21-ton excavator during her work at Ace Demolition Services Limited. She was living her dream job, demolishing an old college in Southend, Essex, when things took a dark turn. While installing a fuel pump into the excavator, the machine swung around unexpectedly, trapping Shannon's head between it and the fuel tank. The impact left her with severe injuries, including a fractured skull, facial paralysis from nerve damage, and numerous cuts all over her body. Shannon was airlifted to the Royal London Hospital and remained in an induced coma for weeks. Shannon had been a crucial financial support for her family since she was 15, but the accident drastically changed her life. Although she recovered, she still faces challenges due to the injuries. The incident left her unable to work, and she has been undergoing corrective surgeries and rehabilitation. Her anger stems from the fact that the demolition company faced only a £20,000 fine and 12 months of community service, despite the life-threatening nature of the incident. Shannon's family was even told to say their goodbyes while she was in hospital. She questions why the consequences for the company and its supervisor, John Gilligan, seemed insufficient considering the severity of the incident. In response to the incident, the company released a statement expressing regret for the accident and wishing Shannon a full recovery. They emphasized that it cooperated fully with the health and safety executive during the investigation and has made significant improvements to health, safety, and training measures. Despite the ongoing civil claim and the challenges of finding witnesses willing to testify, Shannon is determined to seek damages from the company. She is also hoping to get clearance to return to her beloved industry, where she had found fulfillment in her work. Ace Demolition Services Limited and John Gilligan were found guilty of breaching health and safety laws, which ultimately led to the accident. The company was fined and ordered to pay court costs, while Gilligan was assigned 250 hours of unpaid work. Number 5. The Dominos Killer. A South Carolina serial killer is facing the possibility of immediate execution in California, where his killing spree came to a halt 25 years ago. The saga began in December 1985 when Mitchell Sims, who had been unhappy with his supervisor, took his anger out on his co-workers at a Domino's Pizza in Henan, South Carolina. Two young Navy personnel, Gary Melker and Christopher Zer, were the victims. Sims killed them brutally, shooting them in the back of the head while they were tied up and helpless. Melker managed to make a desperate escape and drove to the Henan police station, where he named Sims as the perpetrator before succumbing to his injuries. But Sims did not stop there. He fled to Glendale, California, where he killed another Domino's Pizza employee, John Harrigan, and tried to murder two others by hanging them in the store's bathroom. Fortunately, the two victims survived by standing on boxes to avoid strangulation. Sims was eventually caught in Nevada, and he faces murder charges in both South Carolina and California. But he fought extradition back to South Carolina and ultimately remained in California for his sentencing. Over the years, there were attempts to negotiate with Sims, even a surprising phone call to the Charleston prosecutor from San Quentin prison. Sims asked if the death penalty in South Carolina could be dropped in exchange for returning there, but the request was firmly declined. Over 3 decades after the killings, Sims is still waiting for his death sentence to be carried out in California. The state's justice system is known to be slower than South Carolina's, and it experienced a halt in executions in 2007 due to issues with lethal injection procedures. Now, California officials are working on resuming executions, but legal challenges could delay the process until a judge officially rules on the matter and lifts the ban. As the clock ticks, the families of the victims, including Gary Melker's mother, Carolina Melker, continue to hope for justice to be served. Can you predict when Sims will finally be executed? Let us know in the comments and hit subscribe while you're at it. Number 4. A Terrible Friend. In September 2006, a terrifying incident unfolded at Christina Lodrini's home in Clearwater, Florida. Someone fired 6 shots from a .357 caliber handgun into her house, where 8 people, including 6 children, were present. The attack left the family deeply shaken, but no one was seriously injured. This wasn't the first time Christina faced such danger. Just a few months prior, her new lingerie store was broken into, and her husband's van was shot up. It became evident that someone was specifically targeting her. In the aftermath of the house shooting, Christina decided to set up surveillance cameras outside her home, hoping to catch the culprit. To her shock, the surveillance footage revealed that the shooter was someone she considered a close friend, 33-year-old Courtney Savage. They had initially met through work. Christina worked for Courtney's lingerie and aromatherapy candle businesses. They had a strong friendship, but tensions arose when Christina's previous store had to close due to lease issues. Courtney blamed Christina for the store's failure and held a deep grudge. When Christina started a new store with another friend, Courtney's anger intensified, leading her to carry out the attacks. In addition to the September shooting, she confessed to being responsible for the July 2006 attack on Christina's husband's van and another one in August of the same year. She was also involved in another gun-related incident where she claimed to have shot a man who threatened her life with a knife, but no evidence of the man was found. Following her arrest for the attacks on Christina, Courtney managed to evade authorities and fled to Mexico, where she underwent plastic surgery and acquired a new identity. She then moved to Oklahoma, where she lived for a few months. But in September 2008, an anonymous tip led to her capture in Humble, Texas. Courtney was ultimately convicted of 6 counts of attempted second-degree murder and other charges related to the attacks. She pled guilty and received a 20-year sentence for the murder, along with concurrent 5-year terms for the other offenses. She is currently imprisoned in the Gadsden Correctional Facility in Quincy, Florida, with a possible release date of June 2028. Number 3. The death of a generous boss. In June 2011, 29-year-old James Blanco, a compassionate and hard-working manager at Pleasant Mattress in Fresno, California, lost his life. He had risen through the ranks of the mattress business, where he regularly offered opportunities to gang members and parolees, hoping to positively impact their lives. But James's generosity may have led to his downfall. On the night of June 30th, he was shot while he was showering at his southeast Fresno home. His friend Cynthia, who was staying over, heard the gunshots and discovered his lifeless body in the bathroom. The police investigation revealed fresh shell casings outside the bathroom window and 4 bullet holes in the window screen. The killer had reached inside the window to fire at James, inflicting 2 fatal bullet wounds. Suspicion fell on Rafael Apolina, a former employee of Pleasant Mattress, who had been fired by James a few months earlier due to incompetence and disrespect towards supervisors. Witnesses reported seeing a truck matching Rafael's vehicle near the crime scene after the gunshots. Further investigation revealed gunshot residue on gloves found at Rafael's home, hinting at his involvement. Under questioning, Rafael denied any involvement at first, but he eventually confessed that he intended to harm James but not necessarily kill him. He claimed it was his acquaintance Andrew Macias who pulled the trigger. The judge described Rafael's actions as callous and senseless, acknowledging the profound impact of his actions. In 2016, he was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison for the crime. Number 2. The crazy bank employee. In January 2023, an act of targeted violence unfolded at an Old National Bank branch in Louisville, Kentucky. A 23-year-old bank employee, Connor Sturgeon, unleashed horror by opening fire with a rifle at his workplace, killing 4 people, including a close friend of the state's governor. Shockingly, the shooter live-streamed the attack as it unfolded. Police responded swiftly to the scene, engaging in an exchange of gunfire with the shooter, which ultimately led to the suspect's death. The police chief revealed that 9 people, including 2 police officers, were injured during the incident. One officer, who had recently graduated from the police academy, got shot in the head. The victims were rushed to the University of Louisville Hospital for treatment. The attack occurred in a building close to the Louisville Slugger Field and Waterfront Park. As investigations continue, police are trying to uncover the motive behind the shooting, and crime scene investigators marked and photographed numerous bullet holes near the bank's front door. Sturgeon was killed, which meant that no further criminal proceedings could happen. Number 1. Fatal jealousy. In August 2011, a 32-year-old hotel receptionist at Attila Ban was found guilty of the murders of his 2 20-year-old colleagues, Tibor Vass and Alice Adams. The shocking incident occurred on August 10th at the Radisson Edwardian Hotel, located at Heathrow Airport. The The court heard that Ban had participated in a threesome with Vass and Adams before carrying out the brutal killings. He stabbed Vass twice in the heart and hid his naked body on a double bed after removing his clothing. As for Adams, she was discovered lying fully clothed on the floor of Ban's staff quarters, with a cushion placed over her face. The autopsy revealed she had been stabbed 22 times, with multiple fatal wounds to her heart, lungs, spleen, stomach, and diaphragm. Evidence presented during the trial revealed that Ban had developed a crush on Vass, leading to jealousy. The motive for the killings was rooted in Ban's anger over Vass's success and relationships, particularly after he won a place at a university in Hungary. The situation escalated when Ban witnessed Vass and Adams sharing a kiss during a team-building exercise, fueling his murderous intent. The discovery of the crime scene was made by their colleagues when the three receptionists failed to show up for work the following morning. The police were summoned, and while they conducted their investigation, Ban was cleverly hidden in the quarters under a double bed. He had attempted to electrocute himself with a hairdryer in the bathtub. Surprisingly, he managed to remain concealed throughout the investigations, hearing every detail that unfolded around him. He initially pleaded guilty to manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility, but the jury found him guilty of the double murders. His attempt to hide from the police by lying under the bed and observing the investigation was an unexpected revelation in the trial. Ban was sentenced to life in prison. Which of these workplaces did you find the most unsafe to work in? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Bad Badger.